Hi, I'm Lone Candle, and I'm here to tell you what the hell a woman is. Asking people what a woman is has become a gotcha game. The question tends to be asked to women's or trans rights activists or politicians, and then when someone doesn't have an immediately clear answer, boom, they look like a fool. The real fools are those looking down on someone for not having a quick and good answer. Defining a woman isn't as clear as it might seem. For one, there are two different concepts that we're referring to. Second, one of those two concepts is not an easily definable thing. When we talk of a woman, we may be referring to sex or gender. Even defining a woman by sex isn't as straightforward as it may seem, because some people are born with missing or ambiguous parts. About a dozen different conditions can make one's sex confusing, and their occurrence isn't that rare. Some women don't have their second X chromosome due to Turner syndrome. Some people with an X and a Y chromosome, which by chromosome would make them a man, physically look like women due to androgen insensitivity syndrome. Some people have ambiguous genitalia. Doctors sometimes can't tell for sure what a baby's sex is. Still, generally, if you're born with a vagina, a womb, or/and two X chromosomes, you're a woman by sex. However, when we think of the differences between women and men, we are at least as much thinking of things separate from body parts and chromosomes. We're thinking of how a person walks, how they talk, the clothes they wear, their shoes, how they do their hair, the makeup they put on, their professional and amateur interests, their preferred forms of entertainment, the social roles they play, and how these things differ from that of men. Defining a woman based on gender is not straightforward or easy. It may be that a definition that tries to be too specific will err because there are so many factors that affect what a woman is, and exactly what we think of when we say woman varies by time and place due to different norms and cultures. But don't worry, I gotcha. When speaking of gender, a woman is a person who generally fits a culture's perception of the attitudes and behaviors of the female sex. Note that I included sex and culture in the definition. So, gender is not all about culture, nor all about biology. While womanhood is based on a culture's perception, this perception will be partially determined by how one's biological sex affects their attitudes and behaviors. This should also make clear that both gender and sex are biological. Sex is purely biological, while gender is biology combined with culture. Gender still involves biology for two reasons. A, the neurons and chemicals that make one feel like a woman or man are not purely social phenomena. They are biological phenomena consisting of the matter and energy that make up our bodies and brains. The gendered feelings and impulses are biological, even if the biology is partially determined by outside forces. B. What determines the placing and firing of those neurons and chemicals is a combination of both social and biological factors. Your genes and chemicals that affect you in the womb largely determine which gender your attitudes and behaviors lean toward. But what exactly those attitudes are and how they flow into specific behavior is heavily affected by social norms. However, these norms are not random or completely independent from the biological factors that create different sexes. Although what makes a person a woman is a culture's perception, that perception is bounded by reality. Think of a mountain compared to an ocean. Different cultures have different perceptions of mountains and oceans. They have their own myths and gods associated with each. Different works of art, natural disasters, wars, and other historical happenings color society's perceptions of these geological formations. However, two cultures consisting of large numbers of people are highly likely to have a lot in common in their conceptions of a mountain and an ocean. The reality of a mountain and the reality of an ocean bind their perceptions. While men and women are a lot more similar compared to a mountain and an ocean, and it's more complicated because some people are somewhere in between, still, like a mountain and an ocean, there are sex-driven differences between men and women, and this will heavily affect cultural perceptions. So, I'm not claiming gender is a purely social phenomenon. Also note the word generally. There are a variety of attitudes and behaviors that we associate with a woman compared to a man. Someone doesn't have to meet all of them to be considered a woman. There's not a simple rule for determining a woman. Some people don't fit into either category easily. And this is because gender is not a simple dichotomy like we often treat it. It's a complicated spectrum involving a variety of attitudes and behaviors. There's no simple calculation to determine whether someone is a man or a woman. Think of tomboys who act like boys in almost every attitude and behavior, but still identify as women. Based on my definition, shouldn't we say they are men because they act more like men? No, because they likely have enough female qualities to still qualify them as women. How can we know such a thing? In close cases, we can't for sure, and it's best to rely on the individual's judgment. If a tomboy identifies as a woman, we should consider her a woman. This isn't to say that how one identifies determines their gender. Someone could be wrong or crazy. But that tomboy has unique access to her internal thoughts and feelings. No one else has that. Our perceptions of her attitudes are limited compared to hers, so it's best to rely on her judgment. Furthermore, there is great uncertainty. And because one's gender may be deeply personal, out of respect and dignity, we should generally rely on someone else's judgment of their gender. That tomboy may be womanly in ways that we on the outside cannot tell. Note how when thinking of a tomboy, we're often tempted to call her a boy. Even the word tomboy includes this misnomer. This shows the nuance of gender. We think we know she's a girl, but we really feel like she's kind of a boy. We feel this way despite knowing her sex. What makes a person a woman is complicated. It's based on a variety of factors, and there is no clear-cut line. How we know a woman when we see her is based on our intuitions that take all these factors into account. To ask someone what a woman is and to expect a simple answer doesn't reveal the ignorance of the person asked, but the ignorance of the person asking. That said, I'm sure a lot of these activists have not thought enough about what a woman is. Most people don't think properly about nuanced subjects, even subjects that drive passions which give rise to action. People should think more about what a woman is and the nature of sex and gender. But the way to reasonably engage isn't with silly gotcha questions. Rather than enlightening, such questions just confirm biases, believing that these activists are fools and their concerns are foolish. The questions reinforce what one already believes, rather than stimulating thought on what a woman really is. I'm Lone Candle. Like me, comment me, love me. Woo!